Good afternoon. I have my friend Steve Nudelberg. He's come into the storm shelter so we can have a little conversation this afternoon. Steve, how you doing?
Dude, I gotta tell you, I love your last name. I'm a guy that's grown up with a last name that people always mispronounced, always, never got it right, but it turned out to be a great branding tool for me. And then there you are with Storm as a last name. So I'm
Yeah.
proud to be in the Storm Shelter, proud to be a friend of yours. And I'm thrilled that you have this sort of vehicle to share me and other guests with your audience. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's great. I got an idea from a wonderful guy too. Gave me the idea.
It's so much fun for me to do what I do, and share my thoughts and my experience over the years. But one of the first questions I ask people are you coachable? And you are a shining example of a guy who I describe as a good guy. You are a good guy. And now we've come to grips that your wife and your kid and almost everybody that knows you thinks you're a good guy. You were willing to be coached to use that as your branding tool. So it takes two to tango, and it's been fun working with you.
Oh, yeah. I feel the same way. It's been great. It's been a great journey so far. And
Indeed.
yeah, I like this format so I can because I like to learn and I like to hear about other people's experiences and how they got to where they're going or where they are now. So that's actually a great lead in because I know you've been a serial entrepreneur. So I'm really interested in finding out how did you get to where you are today doing this?
That's a great question. So it makes me laugh because in the beginning, some of my idiot friends go, "Do you sell cereal?" I was like, no, that's not what a serial entrepreneur is. So for me, I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. Around the dinner table, that's what we talked about. And what
Yeah.
fascinated me was the people side. I always loved hearing and understanding and sort of learning from everybody else. And so I knew that my career would be different than most. So that whole school to professional services kind of thing wouldn't work for me. I learned early on in my college years that I was probably unemployable and I needed to do something on my own, which is what I've done. So I've had a career journey of taking opportunities, being able to deal with failure, taking risk, for the most part, what most people would consider to be successful. But what a journey. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. So when people call me a serial entrepreneur, it's 40 years of thinking and being ahead of the curve in a lot of situations. Sometimes your timing is right, and sometimes your timing is wrong. But dealing with it is all ups and downs have all been amazing.
Yeah. Well, and you're still doing it. You're still finding other things to get involved in because I know that you have picked cherries. I guess is your newest venture that you worked with. You're working with some other folks on too. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's neat because people. I'm gonna be 64 in June. People say to me, "So are you gonna retire?" And like retire means like it's over, it's
Yeah.
done. This is a game that I can play forever because the tools that are available and some of the stuff that you and I work on, like this, make it easy to meet people at scale. So why would I stop? I'm not a golfer. I don't. Even if I was, I wouldn't spend every day on the golf course. Every day I can be involved in something where I can lend my network, I can lend my experience, and
Mhm.
it's super fun to do. Now I'm helping my boys schedule, sort of scale the business that we're in. So to me, being able to pick and choose when I do what I do is really the gift. Versus when I was a younger guy going through the ranks and had the misnomer that I had to work 80-hour weeks. Boy, did we get sold a bill of goods.
And that's the interesting part about having your own business and being your own boss is you pick your work schedule, and and that's different from the corporate world where hey, be here at 8, you leave at 5, and it's like Pink Floyd, The Wall, that part where they're coming in the factory and they're dropping off the wall, and that's what I kind of relate it to, but. You mentioned something that's really cool too is that you work with both your sons, Mark and Jake,
Yeah.
and I find that really interesting because I have two sisters. There's no way I could work with either one of them. I would
So,
probably, uh,
and I grew up in a family business. That's how I started working with my dad and my grandfather. So I had experience with that. That did not go well at the end. My grandfather had retired. I was working with my dad. My dad wanted to retire, sort of left the business to me. I didn't do so well managing it on my own, which was my first sort of venture into failure, but it taught me so much. I never thought that it would be this scenario. Both of my sons, as you know, were college football coaches,
mhm.
committed to that as career paths. My older son, Mark, was a Noel just like you and spent early years with Bobby Bowden. And I thought that was what he would do for the rest of his life. And after 14 years, he said, I want to make a change and I want to get into the business world. He originally wanted to do it directly with me. I told him I didn't think that was a great idea because of where I was. I had just sold my business and I
Yeah.
really didn't have any structure. So, long story short, we after a short period of time with him working at ESPN, we did reignite what I was doing post pandemic, was for training and developing. And man, the company has scaled, and we're adding employees, and so headcount is up, revenue is up, and we have done a great job, I think, of separating family and business and taking the reasons why it should work and enjoying those and avoiding the pitfalls of why it couldn't work. We're very disciplined, we're very process oriented. So all of that bullshit just says I'm having the best time of my life.
Well, it's funny because as you're talking about that, I'm thinking, and they're having fun while they're doing it.
Yeah,
Because
it's
I've
real.
seen the photos, I've seen, the look on their face when they're with you, and that's really cool because, I never had the opportunity to work with my father, and I don't know, it just seems like something would be really it'd be great, honestly, because you say I'm a good guy. My old man was a good guy.
No shot. You are the apple doesn't fall
Yeah.
far, so not surprised by that. And I think one of the reasons why the business has flourished is people like that we're a family business. We have
Yeah.
family values, our morals. I mean, everything that we live by.
Mhm.
We live, work, play with respect and integrity, and people already sort of get that from who we are, then what we do feels and tastes better. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool. So there's one question I always ask everybody, and that is, it's an interesting play on words, but what was the biggest storm in your life, and how did you overcome it?
So I love that you asked that question because I think this is anybody can do great in ideal circumstances. Things are going great, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
You really find out who you are when the shit hits the fan or the storm, as
Hmm.
you say. So it's happened a couple of times in my career. The one that stands out the most was the heritage of our company was in sports. We did a lot with teams and athletes, and we had negotiated a tremendous deal for a small little company, would have put us on the map next to some of the big guys. It was a naming rights deal, which, if you read my book, Confessions of a Serial Salesman, you'll be able to know all the details of this story. But we had a letter of agreement and what they call an LOI, and we had a deal in place. I was with the client in Memphis, and it was basically a $3 million a year deal times 10 years, and so it would have put us clearly in a different place than we could ever get to with smaller deals. And it would be like, wow, that company did that deal, and at the 11th hour, the building that we were naming decided to go with another partner. And it was basically like somebody ripped my tonsils out. I mean, it was about as low as I've ever felt in my life. And it was one of those moments you look yourself in the mirror and go, wow, like I've basically told everybody that this deal is happening. I've spent some of the commission money already in anticipation.
Hmm.
We stopped doing everything else that the company was doing to focus and make this deal happen. So I could choose to focus on all of the negative, and I can't actually tell you why, but I went to the bar, I did 2 shots of tequila, so it is real, and then said to myself, "What's the good of this?" And the good was is that the client was willing to spend $30 million. So I knew that I could either focus on the bad, that this deal went away, or I could go find them other deals, which is what I did. I went to the table and I said, "Look, I'm not fooling around. The deal is gone. They're going with somebody else, but you've given me marching orders, you've given me a budget. I will go and make this work without that." And they loved my attitude and they gave me the leeway to do it. And, I never looked back. But, so I think, the lesson is everybody has a choice on what they focus on. I'm
Mhm.
a big Tony Robbins fan. I was fortunate to meet him early in my career. And what he had shared with me was where focus goes, energy flows. The whole idea that I have the choice really makes a difference.
Yeah, that's interesting because I think, I have a similar story about that. It was early in my career, and I worked for a company. And we had quota systems over calendar year. This was like a January 1, and I would have had my quota for the entire year done. And the guy backed out of it at the 11th hour, and he felt so bad about it. When I was over at his office, he goes, "Come out here, I got something for you." Opens his trunk, gives me this box, and it was like had oranges on it. So I'm like, whatever. I go home and we open it up, and he regifted it. Somebody had sent him that
Wow.
as a present, and I'm like, wow, like,
How bad a guy can you be?
I'm like, holy crap! I'm like, not only,
Yeah.
I don't know. It was one of those funny things. It's like, you know what? It's all right. You just
So
have to,
if you believe that things happen for a reason and you don't play the victim, you
yeah,
take it in stride and what can I learn from it? You wind up moving forward. There's still people that I interact with or get to coach or whatever who are telling me, yeah, you know what, 5 years ago, this was supposed to happen. And if that would have happened, I would have been the
yeah,
CEO of the, but it didn't happen, dude. At what point are you going to let go? And understanding failure, it's just such a powerful lesson. My boy, who in college football at 26, he was the rising star. Everybody thought he'd be the youngest head coach in college football. Somebody decides to fire him for no
yeah,
reason at all. He had to deal with that failure and rearrange and get up off the floor. So there's so many examples. Mike Tyson says, you don't have a plan until you get hit in the face.
yeah.
Then it's like, and so it really has done wonders for me, understanding failure and not being afraid of it. And so, in my career, I'm not afraid to take chances. What's the worst that happens is I fail and I get up and do it again.
Yeah, my takeaway was, I can do this. I know I can do it. And actually, fast forward a year later, I won rookie of the year that year. So got a free trip to Hawaii, which wasn't bad. Better than a box of regifted oranges. So,
I'll never look at oranges the same. It's just, but any of us that reach the levels of success in our career understand that it's a numbers game. You're not going to hit bat 1,000, and I've shared this with you, and it blows people's mind. you know, A Rod is fifth all time in strikeouts. And people go, but
mhm.
he's one of the greatest baseball players of all time. Well, he's also fifth all time in home runs. So getting up to the plate and understanding the balance of I'm going to swing at a lot and a couple of these are going to connect. It's just process. And in our philosophy, my sons from coaching and me from 40 years of experience, we have this unique blend of experience that creates really great outcomes. And outcomes are only dictated by behavior. You're a sports guy. I'm a sports guy. I love those references. Teams that watch the scoreboard lose all the time. Play the
Yeah,
game, you got to be in it.
yeah,
So it's fascinating. But to understand that the world has changed, to understand that there's a lot of new things to learn, is the
mhm,
exciting part for me. I am, people have called me, oh wow, we're inviting you up. You're an expert, and I challenged them. I said, I'm not an expert. I'm a student. I
yeah.
really like learning, and I'm just willing to get ahead of it.
That's cool. Yeah. with it's like the using a football reference. It's the prevent defense. It's prevents a win, right? And
Yeah. I mean,
I
I am uh, my whole life, I have been into the people side of the business, and that has served me well. So one of the things I talk about in my speeches is I'm just insatiably curious. I
yeah.
legitimately want to know what makes Chip Storm tick. Like, who are you? What do you do every day? What do you do to get out of bed? How do you deal with failure? Because I believe in that package, there's something that I can take out and make my own. And when I do, I get better. And so if you get better every day, the cumulative effect of that, which, I'm a big fan of, James Clear and Atomic Habits. He proved, just like money, that habits compound. And if you
Yeah.
have the right set of behaviors every day, your success is imminent. It's going to happen.
Hmm.
Just may not happen when you want it to, when you think it will, but you got to stay at it.
Yeah. No, I agree. So what we'll do is like I'll end this on this one last question. So what would be the one piece of advice you'd give people to help them be successful?
The one piece of advice. So I'm gonna do it in two parts, if that's okay with you. So the first part is who you are matters much more than what you do. So people are always walking in or introducing themselves as, "Hi, I'm the senior VP of such and such, and I'm the CEO, and That's what you do. Who
Mhm.
you are matters much more. Hi, I'm Chip. I'm a good guy. Oh, and I happen to make a living, helping people resolve their benefit issues. That's a whole nother paradigm shift that people aren't comfortable with. They want to lead with what I do. Look at the name on the building. Look at all that stuff. And none of that matters until it matters. And if you
Mhm.
think about it, all business is done by the first decision is done people to people. If I don't like you, the chances of us moving forward are slim.
Yeah.
So I'm in search of people who like me and I like them, not in search of clients or whatever. And the second part of that is that investing your time and energy in social media, specifically LinkedIn, and becoming an expert at this amazing tool that was given to us. If you're willing to do that, the rewards are forever. I have met and worked with people that I would have never met in any other physical realm. But the networking and the connectivity virtually is just 24 hours a day, no geographical boundaries. And so if you understand the power and you unlock it, the role of people trying to develop new business has never been easier.
Yeah. 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 It's never been easy. It probably won't ever be easy. But if it was easy, everyone would be doing it, right?
Yeah, it's just if you have good tools, if you sharpen your axe, it makes it easier to
Yeah.
chop wood. So that's what this is, and that's what we're all focused on. That's the work that we do, and it's okay to have fun along the way. And so, it's crucial to know what you do, and what you're doing every day, because those behaviors really dictate the outcome.
Yeah. No, that's great advice, and it's something that I've embraced over the past year, actually working with you. So a lot of those things. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
proud to do this. I hope a lot of people get something out of it. I know we're going to share it with our audience. And then for anybody else who's considering doing the show with Chip, it's a blast, man. He's a good guy. And who has a hard time sitting down with a good guy?
Well, thanks a lot. It's been great. I can't wait to do this again. So take care. Thanks,
Go
bud.
Gators!